2 or 3 years, you might consider tagging along a street mart next time you board that bus, matatu or plane to Nairobi. Otherwise, the streets of the country's capital could teach you a lesson when you take that next trip to the country's capital, thinking it is the same Nairobi you left 3 years ago. From the soon-to-be commissioned Nairobi Expressway to the new walkways in the Nairobi CBD, as well as the renovations in most of the public spaces, Nairobi has been undergoing a facelift of its own. Our reporter David Mudhoka took a trip around the capital and now presents the changing face of Nairobi.
In July 2020, when the Nairobi Metropolitan Services finished the refurbishment of most walkways within the Nairobi CBD, such as this one along the Mwindimbingo Street, talk of the changing face of the country's capital began to gain traction among most Kenyans. Suddenly, optimism that the city under the sun was regaining its lost glory back was in the air. 2 years later, were the walkways the only thing that changed in Nairobi? Or is the changing face of Nairobi evident in other parts of the capital? A trip around the green city in the sun reveals that the latter is true. From the towering 27-kilometer Nairobi Expressway, the refurbished walkways along streets and highways, the renovated public market, the Uhuru Park rehabilitation to the ever-burdened skyscrapers, Nairobi has simply not caught a break in the past 48 months. Perhaps as a result, in December last year, expatriates ranked Nairobi the best city to work in on the continent, jumping 50 places, including Cape Town and Johannesburg from the previous year. No mean feat for a city that until 1905 was not even the country's capital, and until 1913 did not even have a story building. The first was Kipande House, now a branch of KCB Group, a two-story building that was the tallest in Nairobi until City Hall was built in 1935. Despite Kipande House holding the tallest building record for nearly 22 years, the longest record holder for the tallest building is the KICC that stood above the rest at 105 meters for 26 years. Its 28 stories, however, now look like child's play when compared to the two tallest skyscrapers in the capital. The newly developed GTC Tower, which is the second tallest building in Nairobi, standing 184 meters above the ground, boasts of 42 floors, while the Britam Towers, which is the country's tallest building, standing 195 meters above the ground, has 32 usable floors. The 33-story UAP Old Mutual Tower, that was the tallest for a brief stint in 2015, is the third tallest building with a height of 163 meters, while the Times Tower is fourth with 38 floors spread across its 140 meters height. The race for who has the tallest building in the capital has not been only, however, in the past 2 years. The race to give the city a facelift has also been rife. In September 2021, Uhuru Park was cordoned off to pave way for the renovation of the 12.9-hectare recreational park. Amid a public outcry from a section of Nairobi residents and small-scale traders who plied their trade in the park has continued to get a makeover and could be integral in the government plans to make Nairobi a 21st century city in the forthcoming year. Alongside Uhuru Park is the Green Park Terminus, formerly Luna Park. What was once a business and recreation center is now the designated drop-off and pick-up point for public service vehicles plying the Langata and Ngong routes. The flagship project in the Nairobi CBD decongestion plan has since undergone various modernization test runs, with its opening in the offing. Unlike the Green Park terminus, City Market located along Ronald Ngala Street has since opened its doors again for traders and their customers following renovations inside and outside. Under the stewardship of the NMS, City Market is among 8 markets in Nairobi that were upgraded into modern markets as the country gears towards modernizing its capital. With the facelift gaining momentum, just as Rome was not built in a day, the changing face of Nairobi is set to remain constant. All eyes will be on what, how and where next within the country's capital city another makeover could happen. David Mudhoka, TV47, Nairobi.